The weather was colder than they'd expected. The sky was overcast, and the sound of the wind through the leafless trees echoed like a drawn-out moan in the distance. Arad's villa, hidden deep in the northern forests, was usually a getaway from the chaos of the city. But tonight, something else lingered in the air. Something none of them could feel, not yet. Arad, Lana, Farzan, Sarah, and Malad were huddled around the fireplace, surrounded by snacks, blankets, and music. Their laughter had filled the house just moments ago. It was around 9 p.m. when they first heard the knock. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Everyone fell silent. Malad asked, "Were we expecting anyone?" Arad shrugged. "No one else has this address." Sarah said, "Maybe it's a passerby. A forest ranger." Farzan walked to the door and peered through the peephole. No one. Just darkness, trees, and wind. He smirked. Nothing. Probably just the wind. But Lana felt something strange deep in her chest. Something wasn't right. Not 10 minutes passed before the knock came again. This time louder. Knock, knock, knock. Arad stood up and looked through the peephole. A shadow passed by, fast, like lightning. Just for a second, something moved out there. Sarah whispered, "I saw it, a tall shadow." But it had no face. Right then, everyone's phone signal dropped. No calls, no internet. Farzan said, "What is this place? The forest or the bottom of hell?" The third knock was aggressive. Thump, thump, thump. It shook the walls. Then, a voice from behind the door. A whisper, but it echoed in all their ears without a clear source. "Lana, open the door." Lana froze. Farzan asked, What did you hear?" In a trembling voice, she said, It was my mom's voice." Silence fell. Arad said, "But your mom, she passed away 2 years ago." Sarah screamed, "Look." The peephole, it was fogged from the outside. But someone, or something, was looking in through it. A huge, pale gray eye. No eyelid. It slowly moved away, but its breath had fogged the glass. The lights flickered, and went out. Darkness. Malad ran to the kitchen to grab a flashlight. His footsteps echoed through the house. Then he screamed. Everyone rushed toward him. He was on the floor by the fridge, clutching his hand. 3 deep scratches across his skin. Something jumped out from under the table. Scratched me. It was fast. Not a cat. Not an animal. The front door shook again, violently. But this time, it slowly creaked open by itself. The 5 of them stood in the darkness, hearts pounding, the door half open, and something creeping in from the other side. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps entered the house. But nothing could be seen. Only the sound of breathing. Closer, and closer. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. And then, it began. The door shut on its own. There was no sound of it locking, but the silence that followed was louder than any noise. No one dared to breathe. Malad was still on the floor, pressing his wounded hand. Farzan grabbed a thin blanket off the couch and threw it over him. Sarah had collapsed beside the fireplace, wiping away tears. Lana just stood there, staring at the door. Frozen, pale. From upstairs came the sound of something being dragged. The wooden ceiling creaked under heavy footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. Slow and heavy. Farzan whispered, "We're all down here, so who's up there?" Arad signaled for silence. They all moved toward the stairs. Right then, a voice called from above. "Lana, come upstairs, it's safe here." It was her mother's voice. But lifeless, like a dry, emotionless imitation. Lana broke from the group and ran up the stairs. When the others reached the top, she was gone. At the end of the hallway, a door stood ajar. Arad approached it, hand on the knob, and the door slammed shut. From inside, Lana's muffled voice came through. "Help. No. Don't come closer, that's not me." Milad threw himself at the door, but was flung back, as if an invisible wall was there. When the door finally opened, the room was empty. Only an open window leading into the forest, and bloody footprints trailing to its edge. They all went back downstairs, pale, terrified, and without any trace of Lana. Sarah cried silently. Farzan, trembling, said, "This house is cursed." Arad stood still, staring into nothing. I remembered something. Everyone turned to him. When I was a kid, my father brought me here once. We didn't stay more than a night. That night, there were knocks at the door. My dad told me never to answer. He said there was a Darvanda behind the door, a creature that marks you if you acknowledge it, and if you open the door for it, it comes inside. Farzan shouted, "And you're telling us now?" Arad replied hoarsely, "The next day, my father killed himself. With his own blood, he wrote this on the wall. If it knocks and the door opens by itself, it's already too late." A thick silence fell over them. Then the front door creaked open again, and a letter slid in from underneath. On the envelope, it read, "The curse began with blood, continues with blood, and must end with blood." Inside was an old photograph. A family of 5, standing in front of this very house. On the back, it said, "Darvani family 1978. Arad's face went pale. This house, it belonged to my mother's side of the family. And their curse started here." Just then, Milad regained consciousness. His voice was faint. "I saw Lana, but it wasn't Lana. She had no eyes. Her skin was pale. She said there's still a chance to save us, but someone else must open the door." And once again, from outside, knock, knock, knock. But this time, there was the sound of chains being dragged too. Farzan whispered, "That thing is trapped, or looking for someone to take its place." Arad said, "Or maybe, both." Everyone turned toward the door. No one dared to move closer. The sound of chains dragging again echoed. It was as if something heavy, trapped, and wounded was banging against the door. Sarah whispered, "Why are we still here? We should run. Out the window, anywhere." Arad said, "It's behind the door. It's waiting for someone. Maybe it's waiting for me." Farzan yelled, "Shut up. You brought it here. If you opened the door, just say it." Milad, with a shaky voice, said, "If we were supposed to die, we'd be dead by now. It's playing with us. With our minds." Suddenly, all the lights flickered, turning on and off. A shadow appeared on the wall beside the door, tall, thin, with unnaturally long arms. But it wasn't there, only its shadow. The shadow slowly began to write on the wall. Not with anything real, but with blood. Red letters started to form, as if they were coming from the heart of the wall. "One must be sacrificed, so the others can leave. One whose blood isn't like ours." Sarah screamed, "What does that mean?" "Like you." Arad stepped forward, staring at the writing. He whispered, "It means, someone not from this family, someone like Farzan, or Sarah." Farzan stepped back. No, you're wrong. I'm leaving. Right now." He ran to the door. But the moment his hand touched the doorknob, the door suddenly opened. And something was standing on the other side. Tall, cloaked in shadow, with a face hidden behind a white mask that had a single vertical line down its forehead. Everyone froze. The figure tilted its head, slowly, and extended its hand toward Farzan. Right then, the lights went out again. The sound of something being dragged across the floor filled the air. When the fireplace light came back on, the door had shut, and Farzan was gone. Only his footsteps remained on the floor, but only up to the threshold of the door. After that, just a pool of blood, slowly bubbling. Sarah collapsed to the ground, crying. Milad, terrified, said, "Is it over? Did it just want him?" Arad, his voice hoarse, replied, "No. This is just the beginning. We're the rest of the story of that family. And it won't let anyone leave this house alive, unless we finish the game." A knock came again from upstairs. A door that slowly opened, and Lana's voice, whispering, "It's not too late. If you want, I can show you the way, but there's a price."
Don't forget, like and subscribe for more stories. And don't be spellbound.